All right, just to show you how to replace the grips, the throttle side grip on a Harley-Davidson Street Bob with the fly-by-wire electronic throttle. I'm going to show you really quick because I replaced the grip. This is the grip that I want to have on here. It's just that I put it with the logo on the side where it should be on the top to match the other side. So I just want it to be matching. So I'm going to take it apart, and so the process is the same. So I already just took out the screw. You got one bolt down here at the bottom, Torx bit T25, and another one up top here. I already broke it loose, so I'm just going to take that off as well. Put it in there. These are pretty handy, magnetic and rubber grip on the bottom. You open up the top half of the clamshell. You don't have to necessarily take it all the way off, but I'm gonna. And so I'm gonna reposition this, and then this time I'm gonna put just a little bit of thread locker on there, a little more thread locker to make sure that it stays in place. Doesn't need to be super tight, but just putting a little bit of Loctite on there, just a drop. Not even for these. Okay, so the process for this is I take a piece of cardboard like this, and what am I doing with that cardboard? I'm going to stick that right in between over here the brake, and there's a sensor in here that the brake leans against. Okay, so let's try to zoom in on that a little bit if we can. Okay, if you can see that, great. So I'm going to depress the brake, stick in a piece of cardboard in there, and that's it. All right, keep that plunger in place a little bit. It makes it a little bit easier so that things don't pop out of place as much, hopefully, when we're taking this apart, because as you could see, these grips have a groove in them, and that groove locks into place in here, and that's what holds it in place. No glue needed for the driver's side grip ever. So now we just need to pop this out. Not as easy as it sounds, because we gotta move this a little bit. This is a hard plastic here, so it's not really flexible, so we need to move this out a bit and slide off the grip and get it out of the claws of the groove here. So I'm just going to rotate it forward just a little bit, and enough that it comes off, but I'm not going to completely take it off or out of place. And if it does come out of place, there is this piece right here where the bolt goes. There's a little notch, and that notch goes right into this notch. I don't know if you guys can see that. See, there's a notch in the brake frame right there too. Right there. I know the light's not catching it right, but there's a notch right there that it fits into place. So let's, we're not far out. We just have it sitting right here. We didn't pull it all the way off. If you do, it's going to be a little bit pain in the butt to try to finagle back into place, but you could do it. So all I'm doing now is pulling this grip off far enough. Okay, you can pull it all the way off, but there's gears in there that mesh up with this gear on the end, and all they do is they slide in, they lock into place when you got it far enough up. So I'm just doing this so I got the logo facing up to match the other side, and so move that into place. Got that into place now. All right. Do I? Nope, it's not in there yet. I got it over the gear here, so I want to make sure we're facing up, but here we go. And now it's all the way in. Now I just rotate this forward and push it that way, and there we go, back into place. It's locked into place. Boom. That's all that's to it. Put this back on, put the clamshell back on the top. Boom, boom, boom. There you go. And now we have to just put the bolts in to place. However, I'm gonna put a little Loctite on them, because sometimes, like with the sometimes with some of these new grips, if you tighten the bolts to just hand tight, it may be a little bit tight, and it's still, until the grip wears into the groove there a little bit better, it may catch, and you don't want to get stuck at throttle, you know, on its own. You want, when you let go of it, it snaps back. And sometimes if you tighten this up, it may catch and slowly move forward, and you don't want that. You want it to snap right back. So I'm just gonna put a little Loctite on it. So we're gonna just snug the bolts as much as we need, where this will still snap back into place, and then we'll be golden. So I just put a drop of Loctite on the end, not even on both sides, just on one end. And as you thread it in, that'll go all the way around. So let me grab that so you can see. Stick that on there. You could even wipe it off a little bit if you want, if you think that's too much, or wipe it around if you like. Because all this does, this isn't glue. It's not going to lock it into place. It's just going to make it a little bit stiffer for when it dries, that it's hard to get out of place on its own. But you could break it out with a simple wrench pretty easily. And just wipe off your fingers, make sure you don't have that stuff on you so you don't spread it all over the place. And I'm going to do the same thing for the bottom bolt, which you don't want loosening out as the Harley shakes. You know, if you put the bolt too loose, it may just fall out. That's why the Loctite will help. You always want to periodically check over your bike, make sure any bolts or nuts like this are tightened in place. So I did the same to the other bolt, just added a little drop on there. I know on this tiny bolt it seems like a lot, so I'm just going to wipe it with my finger around there a little bit. Okay, it's really not a lot. Wipe it off here, and hold that, put that in place. Wipe off any Loctite off my finger or what have you. Don't want to get it all over on the grips or anything else. And the other bolt is down here for the clamshell bolt hole anyway. And boom, boom, boom. Just finger tighten that into place. Finger tighten this one into place. See, I'm not using any wrench or anything. Finger tighten it into place. Snaps back. I'm gonna take the wrench and I'm just gonna snug it down a little bit. But as you can see, if I snug it down a little bit, okay. You gotta keep doing this. If it snaps back, that's fine. Okay. I'm putting just slight pressure, still snapping back, that's fine. Now the bottom one. Just snug it a little bit. Still snapping back in place. Great. It's already broken in then. Good. And it's all done. Okay, just so you guys are aware, the other day I started on this changing out my handlebar grips here, and there was a spring on the left side behind the clutch that popped out, and I just want to show you what that was about. So to get a better little view here, let me twist this up. Let me twist this up here for you. You can get a look at it. It's spring goes right back here, so it actually goes right here in this spot where you see the plunger. So all I did is, I'm not going to try to pull it back out again, because I tried to, so I could show you how to put it back together. You just put the spring back in there around the little white piece, and then you snap the plunger back into place. And now I can't get it out, and I don't want to try forcing it out because it's in there good. I don't want to break a delicate part. So if you're changing the grips and you twist this and that pops out with the spring, you just put the little spring back in, and then you pop this little black piece back in there too. The little cover here. It looks like it's a little plunger, you see, like that. See, it's not going anywhere. So I did get it back in. It's not broken, okay? Just so that you know. I don't know why it just popped out on me like that, though. Because now I can't even pull it out if I wanted to. And that's good. And that's going to rest up back here on the clutch housing when I push it back into place. So as you can see over here, when we push this back up the handlebar, put it back into place, once we have our grip in place. Sorry, I'm trying to do this without the grip, pushing the grip back up. But once we push the grip back in place and this buds up to the edge, that's going to go there in that place, and I'll show you what it looks like at the end. when it's back in place. But right now, as you can see back here, there's a little notch, just sort of like there was on the other side in the metal, right about here. See that little notch? And that's where this notch on the plastic piece will fit into place, so that the plunger is in contact with the clutch when it's pushed in. Okay, and then I guess it sends a signal to the computer or transmission, I'm not sure, but I'm not a Harley mechanic, just showing you how to put the pieces back together. Okay, so sorry about this, a little camera work. Okay, so now we got this back in place. All we got to do is push the grip up. So we're trying to get this piece back up, butted against there as far as we can. Okay, it looks like it's there. It's in position. Yep, that's it. And now that that's in position, we just put the top clamshell back on and screw it back into place. It's really easy to do. Even if you come across a couple of technical issues like I have, it's pretty easy to get back together. So just so that you could see what I meant about the plunger. So that plunger is back up in there now. All right, so now when you depress the clutch, it's pushing in on that plunger and then giving that signal to wherever that signal needs to go. Let me zoom in on it a little bit more. Sorry about the daylight out here. It's hiding it up a bit right there. There's that plunger right in there. And when you depress it, it's getting hit in the right spot. So everything's back and good and honky-dory. All right, so let's just get that top of the clamshell back together. Put it over the blinkers first. Boom, that goes into place. Now just take your bolt, put it back into place. Just gonna screw it into place here real quick, just to catch it and get it just hand tight, or just get it in there a little bit, and then we'll snug it up, and then it'll be done. And then you can see we got the nice new grips on the bike, and it's all done. So other side, put that one in, boom, boom, boom. Just hand tight, snug. Get your wrench, tighten it up, all buttoned up, and it's done. Now if you notice, I did not put any glue on this side. Didn't need it with grips that have that where it's not a complete circle. Just to refresh your memory, these are the original grips I had on there that I was replacing, these Kuryakyn grips, and I replaced them with some Avons. Now the Kuryakyn passenger side grip, which one is that? That was this one. You can see there was glue inside and required glue because it would keep twisting. So it has to be glued to the handlebar because it's perfectly round. But as you can see, this one that I just put on over here, it's not perfectly round. It's got that half shape that sticks out a little bit on one side. Over here it doesn't, so that the thicker part goes towards the bottom, and you can only put these on one way. So you'll have it on with the logo facing up. You don't have a say of whether it goes to the side or anything on those. That's the only thing about grips where they are not completely round. You don't get to turn and twist it exactly, but that could be a good thing because you don't have to try to guess and figure out which way they're supposed to go. All right, so that all said and done, this tutorial's done, and that's how you put your new grips on a Harley-Davidson. And I did that over here on this side, and then we did it for the left side, and we buttoned it up really quick, and boom, boom, boom. That's it. Doesn't take much to it. I know, more time to watch this video, but I showed you an example where you come across a couple difficulties. Obviously in this, I had a spring pop out over here, had a little trouble with the clamshell getting back together, but it really was not that hard to put back together. And that's it. Happy motoring.